New York.
Apple.
Hot dogs.
Dollar.
Hollywood.
Democracy.
Freedom. Rock and roll.
Wall Street.
Statue of Liberty.
Los Angeles, California.
McDonald's.
Jeans.
Bubblegum. Video games. Nintendo.
What's so great about America?
Every Saturday night, 7 to 9 p.m., explore American culture and language.
With Master Steve,
Ina MK,
And Hasba Cutie.
tune in to find out about what makes America so great.
The Great American Weekend. Listen exclusively on Radio Van 103.1.
Also, watch us on the Radio Van Facebook page, website, and mobile app.
Hello and welcome to the Great American Weekend. I'm here with Master Steve.
And Ina MK.
Hi, Steve. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you, Ina?
Pretty tired, but I'm happy to be back here in the studio. How was your week?
It was pretty good. Warm.
And full of guests.
Warm.
Warm. Hot.
Yeah, we've got the summer weather back here in Yerevan. It's August
it's
already in the middle of July.
True. I wonder what we're going to face in August. Ooh.
Yeah. I don't even want to think about it.
Okay, enjoy right here, right now. And dear listeners, you can watch us live on www.radiovan.fm. Also, our official Facebook page, Radio Van FM 103.1. And, of course, the application which you can download and listen to us anywhere around the globe. Also, we're going to repost our live broadcast video on our group, Great American Weekend Radio Van. And during the show, you can call.
We're not quite everywhere. We're almost everywhere. We're in lots of places. So if you don't catch us, if you don't catch us live today, you can pick us up recorded later on. Right. If you're catching us live today, you can catch us in video or just audio. And if you're sitting at home, whatever you do, just catch us.
Yeah.
But you were saying, call in. If you've got questions, comments, whatever.
560-901 is our phone number. You can call in anytime. We can talk on air. You can practice your English. Do not hesitate. We're here to support you and support the conversation.
So, and it's not just going to be us tonight. We have a guest the second half of the show, Baron Scancelli.
Scancelli.
Yeah.
Oh, I just got it. Okay, let's keep it for fun.
It took me a while too. Yeah. So this is the pseudonym of a local artist, and we'll be talking with him the second half of the show tonight. I don't want to say anything else. Just tune in. I shared a link to his website and his Instagram yesterday, and then I shared one of his pictures today. Some interesting, curious stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to talking to him about that, and then just talking about, him in general, as much as he wants to tell us, as much as he wants to reveal
his personality.
So, and that's part of the reason why we're going to be talking about art tonight a little bit, but we're also going to be talking about anonymity.
Yeah.
And
what is it for? Why do people need it? What kind of people need it?
Yeah. Well, I know I need it, and that's why I picked the name Master Steve for the radio show, because I really don't think anybody's going to be able to figure out who I really am if I use that name, right?
Everybody knows your daughter. but
Master Steve, nobody's going to figure that out, right? Master Steve, nobody's going to look at the picture and hear that name and not be able to find me on Facebook.
Because there are so many Steves living in Yerevan, indeed.
Yeah. Maybe there are a couple, but that's like 1 million people, and 2 or 3. I went to high school. There were 50-some kids in my class through high school, and there were 3 Steves in my grade. There were, out of 50-some kids, there were 3 Steves.
There was one Ina in our class.
So, here in Armenia, 1 million people, and there are maybe 2 or 3 of us. I'm feeling great.
You're
I'm
one and only
anonymous.
Steve I know, living in Armenia.
Compared to growing up with that name in the U.S., especially I think in Minnesota, it was all too common. No.
Hey Steve, do you feel kind of anonymous in Yerevan? Do you have that feeling?
Oh, definitely not.
Okay.
I feel bad because so many people, and I have to admit, I'm not very good with names.
Okay.
Right? I can remember faces.
Especially local names.
I can, no, I've kind of gotten over that. I've been here for long enough, right? I've never been very good at remembering names. I can remember faces, and I usually can pick out like where I know you from, or like, something about you later. So I may not be able to remember your name, but I usually remember
what we did together.
Yeah, or
Yeah,
or something that we talked about, or something like that. I get embarrassed sometimes. Students from several years ago, I'll run into them, and I may not remember their name, but I could remember like what they wrote their final paper on.
So you don't.
So that's just the way that my.
remember the cover. You remember the content.
I would like to think of it that way. Yes, that's a good excuse.
That's a good. That's a beautiful way to justify.
And maybe that's why artists use pseudonyms, or names other than their real names.
Could be.
For their art, we've got, and so you've got pen name, screen name, or stage name. I mean, like, these days, a screen name is like what you use online, right? Isn't it? I mean,
screen name, is that somehow connected with TV or? Yeah,
no,
TV,
I mean,
computer.
my understanding from what I remember, but I'm old in my memory.
Oh, come on. You've got so much information in your head.
From what a screen name is like when you would log into someplace, it wouldn't necessarily be a username; it would be a screen name. But screen names before that were like what film actors and actresses would use,
right,
as a professional name, right? Stage actors would have a stage name; they wouldn't necessarily use their real name, and a lot of times this was done to pick a name that was not as ethnically obvious, or simply easier to remember. I mean, you have people with complex, Eastern European names that people in America wouldn't be used to, and so they would change their name to something that was more simple.
If I was to become a star, I would definitely
You're not
change.
already?
I would have to definitely change my last name. Well, I already have
and you already
MK.
kind of have. Yeah.
But maybe I would come up with something more catchy, just like you mentioned before.
Oh, and I just remember, and I forget, it just came to mind, and I forget her real name.
Who do you need? Google is here to help us.
Let's see. Well, there was a show that my older kids used to watch on TV called iCarly, and they were all excited to find out that the main actress was actually Armenian.
Oh.
But she had changed her, and now the internet is being slow. But anyway, you can look that up. Apparently her given name, her real name, is an Armenian name, or she had Armenian mother or something.
So
but
that's
she
a
changed
new
it
show?
to a more, no, it's an older show.
Okay.
And I think it went off the air like 5 or 6 years ago, but it was on for a while.
Well,
an
maybe
an amusing little teenage show on Nickelodeon.
We can still search for that information.
Miranda Cosgrove,
Miranda,
if I remember right, was her name.
Maybe she's Marine.
And
Marine or something. But before we search for the name, we are ready to go out for a short advertisement break.
Okay, we'll be back with some more pen names, or
and we
pseudonyms
have also
for famous American. Well, I don't really have any slang.
Well,
instead of slang this week, I'm going to be talking about some of these pseudonyms and pen names or whatever.
Okay.
All right. So
whatever you say, master. Stay tuned. This is the Great American Weekend. We have theme art and anonymity. And how do you pronounce it? Anonymity.
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 Anonymity. You've seen Finding Nemo, right?
Yeah.
Anonymity.
Stay tuned. We'll be back.
Come and hang with us every weekend. It'll be a blast.
A blast?
Yeah, a good time.
No, come chill with us. It'll be cool.
Chill?
Yeah, relax, hang out.
Come choose the fat with us.
Yuck! No way! Join us!
On the Great American Weekend, where we'll help you decode American slang.
Welcome back to the Great American Weekend here on Radio Vaughn, where Ina, MK, and I are
Master
sitting
Steve.
around chewing the fat.
Chilling.
Shooting the breeze.
What was the new word we learned from Hannah?
Which one? There were several.
Slap.
That's a real slapper.
Yeah.
I think.
Slapping evening at Radio Vaughn with the Great American Weekend.
Yes. So now
wonder
I have
how
to now
Hasva
admit,
is.
I don't know.
Hey, Hasva, if you're listening, hello.
Give us a call.
We miss you.
Pick up that red phone and give us a call.
560-901. We're here to interact, chat, and answer your questions.
And by the way, the red phone thing in
Red couch, red phone.
red phone. Well, I mean, the red phone means like the hotline, like the direct line. So yeah, if he calls, he's right on air. Direct in.
Okay.
Right. So I have to admit, so this Miranda Cosgrove thing that I was talking about before, I have no idea. And this is the beauty of the internet.
Yeah.
There's all sorts of stuff out there.
Pros and cons of internet.
So on the Wikipedia page, it says nothing about Armenia, but her being Armenian. But then it says what this other page, Cosgrove is an Armenian word. Is it an Armenian?
What? What word?
Cosgrove, Cosgrove.
COS.
And so it says that her father was Armenian, but then other places it says her mother was Armenian.
So she wanted to
Italian,
stay.
Italian, Welsh, Russian, Armenian, Slavic.
Okay.
I mean, like she's
That's
everything.
a cocktail.
Irish. She's like everything according to the internet. Who knows? So, I should have just stuck to the stuff that I did research on before we started the show because
I guess
my
she
memory
wanted
is
to stay
anonymous.
excuse me, nationally anonymous.
Yeah. So if any of you have ever read any O. Henry short stories,
Of course.
the great American short story writer, that's not his real name. He said, what does O
What is his
stand
name?
for in O. Henry? It stands for nothing because that's
O.
not his real name.
Henry.
Yeah. O. Henry. his real name was William Sidney Porter.
William. Nothing to do with O.
Mark
Henry.
Twain is not the author's real name. And that's fairly obvious. I think most people know this. He used several pen names early on and then settled on Mark Twain, but his real name was Samuel Langhorne Clemens. So the author of
Too long.
great works like The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn and Tom Sawyer. And they have a great play at the Puppet Theater, the Yerevan State Puppet Theater on Mashtots. They've got a great play with Huck Finn and Tom Sawyer. Yeah.
They have good ones, some good ones. I really like their.
So you've got the great blues man, Howlin' Wolf. Of course, that's not his real name, right? It's Chester Arthur Burnett. Dr. Seuss was not a doctor at all.
At all.
But Seuss was his middle name. So Theodore Seuss Geisel. Do you know who John Burks Gillespie is?
John Burks Gillespie?
Yeah.
No.
Otherwise
Sorry.
known as Dizzy.
Dizzy?
The great, Dizzy Gillespie. The great jazz trumpet player. Yeah, Dizzy
so
Gillespie.
he's always dizzy.
John Burks is his real name. And we've got, the Big Bopper was Giles Perry or J.P. Richardson Jr. He had some big hits in the late 50s, early 60s, like Chantilly Lace. One of those around the same time as Elvis, real popular. He actually died in the plane crash with Buddy Holly.
Yeah.
And
Do you have a
Richie
favorite?
Valens.
Do you have a favorite story by O. Henry?
No, I don't.
I just interfered in your
Okay.
list.
No,
but,
I mean, what's your favorite O. Henry story?
The Gift of the.
The Gift of the Magi.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember
The
that
love
one.
story.
I've read probably 30 or more of his stories. He wrote so many.
Yeah.
And that one I remember because that was in high school textbooks or middle school textbooks. So I used to teach that one.
I was so
quite
impressed
often.
when I first read it. I was in high school also. And it became one of the examples for me of real relationship, like giving relationships.
Yeah. So we've got Madonna,
Yeah.
of course, but that's her
Prince.
actual real first name. Madonna Luis Ciccone.
We've got Prince.
Okay, Prince, yeah. And
Eminem.
that one gets really strange because his real name is Prince Rogers Nelson.
Oh,
Yeah, his real first name was Prince.
Madonna, Prince,
Yeah,
real name.
yeah.
Okay.
But then Prince gets really strange because of contract disputes with his record company, he changed his name to this symbol, which was unpronounceable. So he became known as the artist formerly known as Prince,
As a symbol.
or just the artist.
Okay.
Yeah. So he took that to a whole different level.
We'll continue the list after the break.
Or maybe
shortly.
we'll move on to the news. There's a lot of news, or maybe it's just because I've been paying more attention this week than normal. but
We can do that.
There's a lot of news, a lot of things going on in the U.S.
Do you have more names?
A couple. I mean,
Okay.
rappers, of course, rappers almost never use their real name.
Eminem,
Right?
yeah.
Eminem, his real name is Marshall Bruce Mathers the third. And that Marshall Mathers is the double M, which becomes Eminem. Right?
Yeah.
Tracy Lauren Morrow, who is probably my favorite rapper, Ice-T.
Ice-T.
Ice-T, yeah.
What about Tupac?
Never really cared for him that much, to tell you the truth.
Tupac Shakur.
And by the time Tupac became really mainstream and popular, I had kind of stopped listening to most rap and gone further down into rock and classic rock. So when I, like in the
Taste
90s when Public Enemy's Apocalypse album came out, after Fear of a Black Planet, and when Ice-T's Original Gangster album came out.
His
that's
real
when
name
I was
is Tupac Amaru Shakur.
okay.
Amaru. Okay, we're ready for the break. We'll be back with some news for you guys. Stay tuned. Also, you can call us 560-901, ask questions, and participate in our conversations. Practice your English. Do not hesitate. We're here to support and help you.
Hey, Steve, do you like Chash Harisan spas?
Yeah, I love them.
But what would you call them in English?
Yeah, I'd call them cowfoot stew, chicken porridge, and sour yogurt soup.
Sorry I asked.
The Great American Weekend.
Welcome back to the Great American Weekend here on Radio Vaughn. I am Master Steve.
And I'm Ina MK, and we're here with you till 9 p.m. You
And
can
speaking
call.
of being here until 9 p.m.,
Yep.
right? If you're sitting there listening to us Saturday night and you don't know what you're going to do after the show, there are a few things I want to announce, right? Because tonight's
Go ahead.
some great music going on in town tonight.
Yeah.
And yeah, so we've got Samba Bayan, who actually is going to be a guest
Our
here
guest next Saturday.
weekend, right?
Yeah.
He's playing at the venue tonight, starting at about 9 o'clock. So you can catch the end of the show and head over to the venue and watch him play. Because, this is Armenia, so nothing ever really starts right on time, which is a nice thing.
True.
For those of us who tend to be a little pokey or late. Pokey is another word for slow.
Pokey. Good
So
one.
the Lost
Picky,
Village is a rock band that's playing tonight at Barcode. Okay, Armin Husnoots, and I believe it's his quartet, is playing at Uli Hanyan tonight. And then Mahog, me, him, her, and the other guy, is playing at Irish 26 tonight. And that's actually probably where I'm going to run to right after the radio show tonight.
Really?
To Irish 26 to go see Mahog play.
We'll probably go listen to Sam's music tonight at the venue, starting from 9:30 p.m.
I don't know. I'm torn because, like, all four of those things I really want to go see. And I know the guys in Lost Village, and I know Mahog.
We'll exchange impressions.
If I could split myself into four people, I'd go to all four. But
I'll go live and you can watch the concert from there. Okay. So, Thank you for sharing a piece from our calendar of events, which is usually at the end of our show.
Yeah, so they can plan ahead where they're going to run off to as soon as they stop listening to us tonight.
Thank you. Right? Can we share some quotes? Or
yeah, let's go to the quotes. Let's do
it. So we spoke earlier about Mark Twain, so I'd like to share some quotes by him. So let's go. If you tell the truth, you don't have to remember anything. That's a good point. because people who lie all the time, they get tangled in
there's that
stories.
English saying, "Oh, what a tangle web we weave when first we practice to deceive."
There you go.
Yeah, it's when you start telling lies, then you have to remember your lies and not contradict them later on.
And also who exactly you told what.
Exactly, yeah.
That's a hard work for the brain.
But of course, Mark Twain lived, before the rise of postmodernism and the post-truth world. So if you tell the truth, well, what truth? Truth from whose perspective?
Oh, don't go there.
Yeah. I'm not trying to promote that. I'm just saying the world that we live in now, I'd say subsequent, the philosophy of Friedrich Nietzsche, it's not that simple anymore.
That's true.
But I like Twain. He's so clever.
He is. And here soon comes one of my favorite quotes by Twain. Whenever you find yourself on the side of the majority, it is time to reform or pause and reflect.
Whenever you agree with what most other people are saying,
means something's wrong there.
Yeah.
Something went wrong. The fear of death follows from the fear of life. A man who lives fully is prepared to die at any time.
I like that one.
That's an interesting point.
I like that. Yeah.
A lie can travel. Oh, there's a lot about lies. A lie can travel halfway around the world while the truth is putting on its shoes.
I know. I love that one because, especially in
slowly. Relaxed.
How many times have you seen like a tweet or a Facebook post or seen something on the news, and then the next day or even just half an hour later, you see, oh, wait, sorry, we got that wrong. It was actually this.
Yeah.
It happens all the time.
Misinformation.
Just because something is traveling fast, just because everybody's talking about it, doesn't mean that it's true.
So this is still actual in this world of internet.
Oh, I think it's even more relevant now than ever.
And here is my favorite. Keep away from people who try to belittle your ambitions. Small people always do that, but the really great make you feel that you too can become great. So people, interact with people who inspire you, motivate you, and make you feel better.
Yeah.
I always worried someone would notice me. And then when no one did, I felt lonely. Curtis Sittenfield.
I don't want all the attention.
But
don't look at me, just, and then all of a sudden you're standing there like... But
please pay attention.
But, look what I did. But look what I did.
I've got stuff to say to the world. Yeah, this feeling is kind of contradicting.
How much attention, I think, is the key, right? I mean, Do you want people to be watching you and looking at you all the time, paying attention to every little move you make?
Everyone has their own like delicate line, border line of this attention thing. It was the anonymity. It was the anonymity. He wanted to be unknown, unpossessed by others' knowledge of him. That was freedom. Lingma.
Yeah, because as soon as people know you, they start to put you in a box. They start to label you. And then even if it's subconsciously to a certain extent, you start to fit
that
in those label. Because, I mean,
boxes.
The way that people treat you, it can have a huge effect on how you
often.
act.
True.
You know, whether you try it, whether that's conscious or not.
It's hard to argue with Master Steve, and let's move to the next one. For most of history, Anonymous was a woman. Virginia Woolf says that.
And actually, I mean, that
comes, I think, from the times when women could not work or could not be in a lot of public.
I think, you know, with Virginia Woolf, the great writer, for her, that probably had a lot to do with just getting published. You know, women were not taken seriously as writers.
Ghost writers.
So they wouldn't. Well, no, a ghost writer is something different. I mean, there were a lot of female writers who published under male names. Because otherwise the publishers wouldn't publish them if they were female, or the publishers were afraid that if we publish this under a female name, nobody's going to take it seriously. And that's a shame. I mean, that's horrible. So I think for Virginia Woolf, what she's saying, you know, for most of history, Anonymous was a woman. Either
comes from her own
the writer
experience.
Didn't want to use her name because she was female and she didn't want to be taken. She wanted it to be taken seriously, so she would sign it anonymous, or more often sign it with a man's name, if the publisher would let her get away with that, or it was a female who nobody really paid attention to the name, and so the name was lost, and the work or the quote just became attributed to Anonymous because we forgot. Because, you know, it was just a woman.
Yeah.
It wasn't not important what her name was.
Just like women weren't allowed to play in, like, plays and theaters.
Oh, yeah. For a long time, women weren't allowed to act. Well, and for a long time, actors were seen as being immoral. I mean, acting was kind of immoral because there was so much importance put on your character and how you present yourself and telling the truth and whatever, that actors were people that were very good at pretending to be something that they weren't.
Yeah.
So they were morally questionable.
That's interesting.
You know, so women wouldn't be allowed to do that.
Yeah, because
and
they were
people who
saints.
Yeah, and people who did that were, you know, oh, well, you're pretending to be somebody else all the time. How can we trust you at all?
That's a question to think about.
Yeah. I mean, if you're really good at acting, at what point do we end up saying, well, I don't believe a damn thing that person says because they're a good actor, so they can say whatever they want, whenever they want to, whoever they want, and we'll never know when they're telling the truth.
Yeah, that makes sense. The fact that I stay anonymous means I can exhibit wherever I want. No one knows my name, so it's easy for me to travel. You know, it's easy. It's really strange now with the internet, with everyone having an unsolicited anonymous opinion, says Jeff Daniels.
Unsolicited anonymous. Unsolicited anonymous opinion. Yeah. Everybody's got an opinion.
Just like what we were mentioning before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Neil Postman, and I'll try to share it this week on our Facebook group. In our Facebook group, Neil Postman has a great quote about that, about opinions, and how opinions these days have just become some sort of a knee-jerk reaction, more of a reflex than anything else, where in the past he claims, and he's got good historical evidence to kind of back this up, that opinions in the past used to be thought through, used to be based on experience or evidence. And these days, you're expected to have an opinion just like that.
Yeah, it pops out
And it
like
just
from
pops
nowhere,
out.
from
Yeah.
others' opinions, which you never know whether they're true or false. Or
Yeah.
yeah, true.
The
Good.
tyranny.
Did you like my quotes?
Yes, I did. I always like your
Oh,
quotes.
thanks. Hey, Steve, I've got a surprise for you tonight. Since we're talking about
Anonymity.
anonymity and
Or
alter egos.
Oh no! Have you dug up
We've
up
got-
my alter ego?
Not yet, but this is what I'm planning to do. So if you're ready, we can do that now, or we can share the news and do that after the break. I give you a freedom of choice.
Well, let's do it after the break. Like I was saying before, there's so much going on in the news.
Okay, let's
that
move
I would
to the
like
news.
to get to the news. And so
You go first.
the first thing is we've got a Mueller update.
Oh, no, no. This sounds like a joke every time you
The
guys say
story that
Never
never
ends.
dies. And
the dead never.
yeah, the dead don't die.
Don't die.
We'll talk about that later.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Let's move to the news.
Great, amusing movie that I just saw on Thursday. The dead don't die. There are some very important updates in the Mueller investigation that are coming up. Not this week. Wait, important. Well, never mind. Mueller is supposed to testify before Congress. Or he was supposed to testify before Congress on the 17th, so next Wednesday, right? And so there was this big build-up to this. Oh, he's going to testify, and he's going to say all sorts of new things, and people are going to gain a better understanding of the investigation and all this. Despite the fact that Mueller basically has said publicly twice, like both times he's spoken publicly about the investigation, everything that I have to say, I have already said.
Oh, maybe.
I will testify. He's basically said, I will testify before Congress, but you're not going to get anything new out of me. It's just going to be me repeating what I've already said or what I've already written. But then the media is making this big, huge deal out of he's going to testify before Congress. And now it got moved from the 17th to the 24th of this month. And it's the story that won't die.
I guess.
He's going to spend probably 6 hours being questioned by Congress, and nothing new is going to come out of it because he's already said, I have nothing new to say.
What kind of patience
He's a great
have.
man. He's great. And then I was watching CNN today, and I think it was Erin Burnett on her show. It was just, and this was before apparently she knew that it was going to be postponed to the 24th. But she was talking about how Trump this past week has been doing all of these ridiculous things and saying all this stuff that, well, none of it's true and none of it's really important, but he's doing it just to whip up all sorts of attention to distract from the fact that Mueller is going to be testifying next week. And I keep on thinking, yeah, but by next week, all of the stuff that Trump has said this week is going to be completely forgotten because the news cycles are so fast and the media just keeps going from one thing to another. So her whole point was, I think, absurd to me that anything he did this past week is going to draw attention away from anything that Mueller says this coming week because the news cycles move way too fast. I don't know. I'm so
Don't they know
cynical.
that Mueller theme is eternal?
Yeah, I know.
Nothing can draw attention from it, I think.
Yeah.
And by the way, we have comments.
Oh, we do.
Yeah.
Hello,
Hello,
Katya.
Katya. Hello, how are you guys
Is Baron
doing?
here? Baron is, I'm not sure. I don't think he's here
He's
yet.
not
I
here
haven't
yet,
seen him.
but follow our show and you will see and hear him soon.
Do you have any local news?
Barcer Manatsakanya says hello.
Oh.
Hello, Barcer. Do you have any questions for us? Feel free to write. Or you guys can also call us 560-901 and participate in all the conversations. And also ask questions to our guest who is going to be here pretty soon. Okay, Steve, anything else you have for us? Or we can move to the local news?
The women's national football team won the World Cup, the Women's World Cup.
Wow.
Last week.
The women rule. Woohoo.
Yeah. And of course, that, like everything else these days, has become political because it's being used as a platform to talk about equal pay in sport.
Feminism and stuff like that.
I could go on about that, but I mean, it's, yeah. New Orleans is bracing for Tropical Storm Barry to hit, which will probably be a hurricane by the time it hits New Orleans. And this is, I mean, it'll be, I think, a Category 1, the smallest of hurricanes, the smallest level of hurricanes. But all flights have been stopped going into New Orleans. And New Orleans has been experiencing a high amount of rain, or had a high amount of rain last week. So the water level in the Mississippi was already high. So the storm surge and the extra rain from this slow-moving tropical storm, Barry, that will probably turn into a hurricane, is going to wreak some havoc in New Orleans, some flooding and stuff. They don't think it'll be too bad, but they're evacuating people.
We've got some bad news about Lake Sevan as well. But I'd like to start from some good news, if I may.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, this is the place where Europe's heart beats, says Tusk about
Donald
Tusk.
Yeah.
About Sevanavang. So the president of the European Council, Donald Tusk, says nice things about Sevanavang following his visit to Sevanavang. Though I am a politician, culture is much more important, and above all, I am really impressed as a European. I think this is not only my opinion, this is the place where Europe's heart beats, he says. He mentions Armenia's cultural heritage as one of the most impressive, and not only in the region. The president of the European Council describes Armenian people as the most important advantage of the country, stressing that it's not just a compliment. So thank you very much. It's always nice to hear good things about your motherland. And he also said that he sees cross stones Khachkars for the first time and is very impressed. Great that we were able to share some of Armenia's culture with our lovely guest. And if we have time, and I don't think we have time, okay, let's move now for another break, and then we'll listen to Lenny Kravitz's Little Girl's Eyes. And right after that, we'll come back, and if we have time, we'll share some more news with you guys. Stay tuned. This is the Great American Weekend. Also, call us and get ready for our mystic guest coming soon.
Hello?
Hi, is your refrigerator running?
No, it doesn't have any legs.
Some American jokes just don't work with foreigners.
Welcome back.
Welcome back after the break, and we are ready to do what? I look forward to the test.
Oh,
and I'm afraid that we don't have time later.
Okay, so let's do that. Let's do that. I do want to try to come back to. Well, anyway,
let's come back to what you want to say after the test.
Okay. Now, I'll warn you, I'm not very good at taking tests, so this might be.
It's easy.
I might fail this one.
No, you won't.
And yeah,
you never do. So, question number 1, ladies and gentlemen, is exclusive test for Master Steve. We're gonna find out what his alter ego is. Who is my alter ego? That's the title of the
alter
text.
ego.
Alter ego. Yeah. Let's go. How brave are you? Not at all. Somewhat. Very.
Somewhat.
Somewhat.
Depends on the situation, so somewhat.
Are you successful at seduction? No? No, sometimes yes.
No. I that's a question that really hasn't applied to me for a long time.
No. Are you good at playing tricks on people? I don't play tricks on people. It's mean. I've pulled off some funny ones. Yes.
I've pulled off some funny ones. I wouldn't necessarily say I'm good at it, but
I just remember the Easter eggs hidden all over the studio. Okay, guys. So
every once in a while, I have a good idea.
Do you believe in magic? Yes, I believe in the feeling of magic. No.
I believe in the feeling of magic.
Diplomatic answer. What's your favorite weather? Sunny and warm, rainy, sunny and breezy.
Sunny and breezy. That's not my favorite, but that's my favorite out of those three choices. So we'll move on.
I'll agree on that one. What would you rather get at the fair? Giant stuffed animal? Huge lollipop? Balloon? Huge lollipop? I just picture you with that huge lollipop.
Typically, when I go to the fair, I want food on a stick, like a pork chop or corn. So I guess I'll go with the lollipop because that's food on a stick.
Okay, that's close to the answer you think.
It's close to what I would really want.
Which would you rather be? Admired, successful, rich?
I'm all three already, so no, I'm just...
Okay, this was the Great American Weekend. We're done for tonight.
Successful, I guess.
Which includes all of it, all of the above. And
it depends on how you define success, but yeah, I could be a successful starving poet.
Philosopher. Are you the life of the party? Yes, no.
If I'm the life of the party, then man, nobody else is going to stick around. That's one dull party. So I'd have to say no.
So modest, so self-critical. Who pick a show? Sitcom, crime drama, reality TV, documentary series.
Definitely not reality TV. Sitcom, I suppose.
All right. I'm enjoying this.
Though I haven't seen any good sitcoms lately, but,
Let's practice quizzes like this every now and then.
Okay.
It's really cool. Pick a flower. Daisy, Venus flytrap, rose, lily.
I'm going to be morbid and say daisy. Because the euphemism for death. You're pushing up daisies.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know why that came to mind, but yeah, I'm pushing up daisies. I like daisies.
Do people laugh at your jokes? Yes, people think I'm hilarious. Most of the time. Sometimes, not often, they don't get my humor. Some American jokes
sometimes
don't work with foreigners.
Sometimes. I think it depends on. Yeah, I think it depends. I think it depends on how much they had to drink, whether they're going to laugh at my jokes or not. So all of you out there that are missing Hazva QT's humor and don't think I'm quite that funny, my advice is get a drink.
I think you're funny. Are you a good dancer? Yes, I've got some moves. Not very.
Not very. Oh, not very much at all. Not at all. None.
All right. Pick a bird. Dove, flamingo, robin, blue jay.
I have no idea why, but I like blue jays today.
Today is the right day for blue jay. That's almost a poem. Where were you on a typical Friday night in high school? Home, party, or sports event? Coffee shop.
In the fall, I would be at a sports event because I was playing football. Otherwise, I don't know, probably just at a friend's house hanging out. So let's put out a sports event.
You were fond of sports. I remember the story about you, your childhood, and your schoolhood. Okay, let's move to the next one.
I forgot it, so I'm going to have to go back and watch that episode again.
Okay. And pick a pet. Cat, dog, bird.
It all depends. I mean, living in downtown
You're so
in an
practical.
apartment, I would have to say a cat.
A cat.
But, you know, if I had a house with a yard out in the suburbs, I'd want a nice big dog, like a husky or a spaniel or something.
So pick a house then.
Well, okay. No, I mean, yeah, pick a house and then get a dog. No, a cat. Cat.
How do you drive? Carefully, fast? Depends on my mood.
Depends on my mood.
There you go. Time for a new desktop wallpaper. Pick one. Kittens.
No.
Beach. Solid color. Books.
Books.
I'd say books.
Books. Although I usually end up with like album covers from albums that I like as my desktop.
Well, none of the above.
Yeah, none of the above.
Do you gossip all the time? Sometimes. I try not to.
I try
think
not
the
to.
third one,
Yeah.
yeah. Which monster could you tame? Frankenstein? Dracula? Cookie?
Cookie Monster.
Cookie.
Cookie
and
Monster.
The Oscar goes to Cookie. What is your favorite time of day? Morning, noon, night? Depends on what
Whenever I'm sleeping.
Night?
Which could be any of those times with the way my
All
life has been going lately.
all of the
could be
above.
any of those times. Evening. What was evening one of
Night.
them? Night. Yeah,
Morning,
I suppose.
noon, night.
Morning, noon, night, night.
Okay. Pick an animal. Rabbit, fox, panda, goose, cockatoo, bear.
Oh.
There's only 9 questions left.
Eagle?
Steven.
Eagle? No, bear, I suppose.
There's
Bear. It was the
bear.
last one. It's the only one I remember.
Rabbit, fox, panda,
Bear.
goose.
Bear. Bear.
Can you keep a secret? Yes. Depends on how juicy it is. I'm terrible at keeping secrets. Yes, I think.
Yeah, I suppose I can. Yeah. I usually forget it
sure?
anyway.
Okay. That's a good part of your memory. Which part of a parade would you rather be in? The band or drill team? On top of the float? Driving a tiny car, excuse me.
I've been in the band. I was in marching band in high school, and that was good, but I've never driven a tiny car. I would love to drive a tiny car in a parade and just, be all crazy and, pretend
you
I'm going to
go
run
for-
into the tiny car.
You like that the
Yeah.
most. Okay. How do you
The
feel about
Shriners.
fitness? Oh,
How do I
know
feel
this
about
answer.
fitness?
I'd rather take a nap, thanks. I do it because I should. I do it because I love it. When you run,
I don't love it, but I enjoy it. Yeah.
You enjoy running.
I enjoy
that's
running.
for sure.
Yeah.
So I do
running,
it because I
walking,
should.
hiking. No, I enjoy it. So I suppose I love it, but love is a little too strong.
Well, okay. I enjoy. We'll change the word. What is your favorite way to dress? Up, down, pajamas.
It depends on where I'm going. But I wait, up, down, up, down.
Up.
How do you dress down? Down.
I don't know. Up, down, pajamas.
I guess
I don't know what they mean.
up. I suppose.
Up is always good.
Yeah.
How often do you lose your temper? Rarely, average, often.
Average, although that takes some work.
But the result is there. Are you shy? Yes, not really. I'm outgoing, actually.
Not really.
Sometimes, yes.
Sometimes, yes.
There's a question about radio. I'm like, your radio is only picking up these 3 stations. Pick one. Romantic 50s, oldies, classical, heavy metal, country.
I'm happy. Pick any of them, depending on my mood. I have to pick one.
Yeah.
Jeez, I haven't listened to country music for a while, and it all depends on what era of country music, because some of it I don't like.
It's too general.
Classical. I went to the. Well, anyway, The oldies, the first one.
Attention, the last question.
Because the oldies would probably hit most of my moods.
Okay. Which are you more of? Down home, big city, English village?
I've never been to an English village.
American village.
Let's give that a shot, though.
Yeah.
English village.
English village.
Let's just do that.
Okay, let's do this. Ta-da. Oh. Are you ready to hear this? Your alter ego is the sex god. Even if you're shy and maybe a bit of prude, your alter ego isn't. Let him or her out on the town and sexy madness will ensue. Dancing on bar stools, seducing strangers, and all manners of other risky risk behaviors. Now we know who you are inside.
Well, okay.
While you're digesting this information, we're going on an advertisement break. We'll come back and one more segment, and we'll welcome our guest in the studio because he's already here on the territory of Radio Van.
Everybody at Irish 26 tonight, watch out because apparently I'm going to go there and just
Sex God
be
is
crazy.
coming. Stay tuned. This is the Great American Weekend, full of surprises.
What's the best word in American English?
My all-time favorite word is but I usually refer to it as lovemaking.
Become more fluent in American English and slang.
Welcome back to the Great American Weekend here on Radio Van.
We're back with our mystic guest who shared a little bit of his life journey, the beginning of it. And now we're moving on with questions, right?
Yeah. Shoot.
So, yeah.
Shoot.
Yeah. How can... okay, let me see. I want to choose something really, really extraordinary. Does alter ego make a person braver than he is in his regular life?
There's a freedom that comes with anonymity. Mm-hmm. It's funny. I did some research about this, and there's a lot of artists, a lot of writers that have purposely been anonymous. And then later on in life, they revealed who they were. For instance, a writer by the name of Edgar Allan Poe was...
Yeah, we talked about it before.
Yeah. Was
no, we didn't mention Poe. I think I had him in my notes, but we didn't mention it.
Yeah,
okay.
he was anonymous. The writer of Frankenstein was anonymous.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that actually ties in with the Virginia Woolf quote, I think. Yeah.
And also, the reason I'm wearing this Batman hat is
superheroes.
Batman was anonymous. You know, we knew he was Bruce Wayne, but he was anonymous. And there is a freedom that comes with that. You can express yourself, especially in the arts, in any way you want.
Okay, thanks. Thanks for the answer. And what would you choose, a year of bliss or a lifetime of stability?
A year of bliss.
Well, now, what kind? Because you said earlier that your background was in business.
Yes.
Right. What brought you into the arts? And what is it that you want to do in the arts?
Well, you know, it's funny. The arts, growing up in high school, we had a fantastic arts department in our high school. And I was more of a jock and a jock and a geek in terms of math. And I never wanted to take art, but I had to in order to graduate. And there was a really spunky art teacher. Her name was Katie Mitchell. And she said, "Oh, come on, you're gonna have to take my course." So I took ceramics, and I fell in love with ceramics. So much so that she ranked me first in the class, and she told me seriously to think about pursuing arts. And I ignored it, but it came back. We have a saying in Armenian, and I'll translate it, which is, you can't hide crap under the snow for too long.
True.
So it definitely came, and it's liberating. It is liberating.
So it's something that's always been there, and now you're acknowledging it or letting it come forward.
Embracing it.
Embracing it. That's great. Yeah. So what kind of art are you doing? What would you say about your approach to art or the artworks that you've produced?
Not traditional, contemporary, mixed media, and because I grew up in a building environment where a lot of construction materials and so forth, and I saw a lot of waste, a lot of products that just thrown out that I thought could be
Used,
reused, repurposed. So I've taken a lot of that material and tried to create something that's sustainable and that you can appreciate, but is also a statement about, life isn't perfect, art isn't perfect. There is no such thing as a wrong piece of art.
Or even, I think, the materials. It just came to mind, like Michelangelo, right? He would go to the marble quarry and look at pieces of stone and look and pick out a specific piece of stone and say, that's the one that I want, and I'm going to make, David out of that block of marble, right? And so it was very... he saw it from beginning to end. He chose it. It was very premeditated, very planned. And what you're saying is, it doesn't have to be that way.
It doesn't have to be that way.
In fact, it's almost better if it isn't, because life isn't that way.
Life isn't that way. And it's funny. There are certain artists that are trained artists. They're professional. They're fantastic. They're highly acclaimed. And some of them connect with my art and some don't. And it really, as I said, there is no wrong or right in art. It's art. Either you like it or you don't like it. And I don't get offended by them. The other ones that like it, I embrace them a little bit better than the ones that don't. But it is what it is.
That's understandable.
Yeah.
Baron Scancelli, what do you think about superheroes? They're kind of anonymous as well.
They are anonymous. But they're superheroes, at least from what we've read, what we've seen in the movies and in cartoons and so forth. They have a soft side. And that's what makes them a real hero. Because they're striving to make the world a better place, to save people that otherwise would be lost. And I think they're a great element that we need in it's folklore, right?
Right.
We need it. Look, we have, in my mind, we here in Armenia, which is one of the reasons that I made the decision to stay here and commit the rest of my fourth quarter of my life, my game, to Armenia, is I think we have a superhero here whose name is Nicole Pashinyan. What he did, and I think we all have to take our hats off for that, is he gave the people a voice.
A voice and hope.
And hope.
And hope, yeah.
And change. Now, what happens next? There's change. Change is among us now, is in the mix, and it's something that did not exist here before. So, in my mind, he will go down as a superhero.
And speaking of Nicole and
I agree.
superheroes, I just, last week saw that there is a comic book about
I've seen
about
it.
the revolution.
About the Velvet Revolution
Yeah.
comics
Really?
book.
Very cool.
So
Very
he is
cool.
now enshrined in the comic book universe.
And I think you can color it or something.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I bought a copy of it, but I haven't opened it yet.
Yeah.
You know what's funny about that? He is a superhero, right? We've established that. But politics is like a lot like movies. And you could be a star one day, and they always say, okay, now what's gonna happen? Now that you're a superstar, what are you gonna do now? How was your last movie? What are you gonna do now? And I think that's where we are as a country.
Right.
We have to move forward. We have to move forward quickly.
And we have to understand that each of us has to do something. It's not only about one person.
Unfortunately, the expectations are so high.
Yeah.
And you can never deliver to those expectations. But we do have, I know for a fact, that we do have so many great proposals that are before the government right now. If 10% of those happen, we're off to the races as a country.
Yeah, well, I always keep saying, we may be going slow and it may not look like Armenia is making much progress, but at least we're not headed, 80 kilometers an hour towards a cliff.
Right.
Which is really the way that I feel the previous government, that's what we were doing. Yeah, we're moving, things are changing, great, awesome. But we're heading towards a cliff. That wasn't sustainable. And now movement is slow, but we're heading in the right direction.
Steve, we're so used to the action movies that we all the time expect, the action super effects and really
well, not just
fast
the action movies. I mean, it's become part of reality. Tweets, social media, our news feeds, and action.
Life is a bit different. It's not about, everything is so fast food that people expect fast food from every area.
Well,
but
in the
it's not
news
like that.
too. News too. I was talking earlier today about just things happening and happening and happening on CNN. With a big story today, 3 days from now, you could completely forget about it, and it might never be mentioned again. It could be a huge story for a couple of days or even for just a couple of hours, and then just disappear.
They talk about 15 minutes of fame. Right? Mm-hmm. That's about the life of a news story. 15 minutes, and then what's next?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next.
Right. Baron Scancelli.
Ayo.
What is the first thing you noticed about a person?
The eyes. The eyes tell you so much. They are the window to the soul.
The mirrors of our soul.
Yeah, they're the windows. And to me also, after you look at the eyes, you look at their expressions. You look at how they look at other people, they're smiling, their body motions. When somebody's talking to you and they turn away, that person has no interest in talking to you. Let it go. One of the best things in life is learning how to let it go. Let it go quick.
If there were 5 words to describe your personality, what would that be? What 5 words would you use to describe yourself?
Thoughtful.
Mm-hmm.
Resourceful.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes bad temper.
Sometimes.
Impatient. How many is that so far? 4?
4.
Yeah, that's yeah.
One more. soulful.
Thank you.
You said
Your turn, Steve.
earlier, Baron, you said earlier that there are people who don't like or don't get your artwork, and there are people that do. Who are you maybe trying to reach? Who do you see?
Who is your
target audience? Who do you want to reach, and maybe even what do you want to say, or what reaction would you love to get from them?
That's a great question. I'm trying to, in the form of art, trying to make people appreciate imperfection.
Mm-hmm.
We don't live in a perfect world. We're so far from it. People that try to be perfect
are not natural at all.
Always be unhappy. They'll just be unhappy. There's a saying, it goes like this. It says, we make plans and God laughs.
True.
You can make the best plan. Sort of like the Velvet Revolution. That could not have been planned. It was almost like an intervention. It happened for a reason. It just you couldn't plan something like that. It happened for a reason.
And day by day, it was surprising. You know, the first day they blocked the streets, I thought,
Yeah,
I'm for it. I'm for it. I'm hoping that this will work.
There was no traction at all.
And you know, I was like, oh, well, okay. And then it worked. And then things moved faster, and then things slowed down. I mean, it was unpredictable.
It was.
What is it? Is it John Lennon who has that quote? I think it's from one of his songs. Life is what happens when you're making other plans.
And I love this one.
John Lennon is perhaps one of my favorite songwriters.
Well, he's one of the.
Let it go, let it be. Mm-hmm. Let it go is the new let it be.
And I really love this quote by Gandhi. He says, first they ignore you, then they laugh at you, then they fight you, then you win.
Beautiful.
So it's one of the quotes that really describe the revolution and basically anything that you challenge.
You know, we have
achieve.
We have an amazing amount of richness in this country. History, culture. We have the legend of Noah on Mount Ararat landing here. We're in the middle of a global warming trend, and everybody's saying that the sea's going to rise. Wouldn't it be ironic if Armenia again becomes the birthplace of civilization? But we do have, you know, I was watching a BBC documentary recently, I think in February, that actually says that Stonehenge in Great Britain was actually designed by people from here.
Karahunch.
So Karahunch, to me, is just one of the examples. I've seen a pyramid here in Armenia, in Devin. I saw the village of Devin, an ancient capital of our region, and climbed the pyramid. There's so many treasures, undiscovered treasures here.
Unpromoted.
Unfortunately. Yeah, and sometimes shunned. We don't want to show them. We don't want anybody to know. It could change the course of what's popularly believed as history. What if the pyramids here are older than the ones in Egypt? You know, these are things that, at least me, in this fourth quarter of my life, I want to try to realize these things and discover them and try to share that with the rest of the world.
Speaking of world, what if you could say a sentence which the whole world could hear? What would it be? What would you say?
I'll just take a chapter out of John Lennon's book, which is just be nice to people. Be nice to your fellow man. Let's not fight. Fighting, wars, weapons, all of that is just a waste. You know, I was an economist. I studied economics in college. And there were two things that you could make, guns and butter. Guns are a dead end. Butter, you can have on your bread, you can eat it, you could do so many things with butter, but guns,
and it's useful.
Yeah, but you also end up having a heart attack if you have too much butter. They're both dangerous.
Yeah, they are.
Pros and cons of butter right here on Radio Fun.
Economics 101.
I even know that problem, that whatever from economics, yeah. Allocating resources, guns and butter.
Guns and butter. Well, it seems like we're getting a little more butter here, right?
We're getting corny here.
Oh, no, that's not corny. No.
Corny is the new horny. Have you heard that?
Did you hear?
I'm not sure I want to think about what that means.
Did you hear about the quiz that we did before you came to our studio?
No, not yet.
Yeah, well, we can leave that.
we discovered.
We'll talk about that
Master
after
Steve's
the show.
Alter ego.
My alter ego.
That's another thing. That's one other thing.
How to discover your own alter ego.
Learn the biggest challenge in one's life is putting your ego in a box. Because it's your worst enemy. That's why it's cool to have an alter ego. So you take this one, put it in a box, and get a new one.
Do you only have one alter ego?
Well, if you talk to my children, they think
unfortunately.
Sometimes they say, Dad, we don't know who you are. So I guess the answer is I don't think I have one.
Gemini.
But
Gemini
that's the thing. With the people that know you the best, they usually have the hardest time putting you in a box or putting a label on you. Isn't that kind of true? I mean, the people that know you because the best,
they love you the most,
are probably not surprised by your alter ego and your normal personality, that they're the same person, right?
True. Very true. They're not surprised.
Yeah, so the fact that your kids, who probably know you better than anybody else, can say sometimes we don't know who you are, doesn't mean that they don't know you. It just means that they can't
figure
label
out.
you. They can't classify you because they know you too well.
True.
And I think because they love you the most.
Probably.
Because love is endless and it cannot put you in this box.
Unconditional love.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we have like 1 minute left, and it was so much fun.
Any parting words?
Yeah. Do you have one important
Visit Armenia. If you haven't come here yet, please come. There's so much to discover.
And for those of you that are here,
and for those of you
out of Yerevan.
Appreciate and tell your friends, everybody to come.
And if you come here, we'll tell you who Baron Scancelli is.
No, we won't.
That would be tough.
Come and find him. Come. It'll be a scavenger hunt.
Yeah.
Come and try to track this man down.
We'll organize a quest game for you. Well, thank you for being with us tonight. Hope you enjoyed it. We did.
Come and we loved it too. We, meaning me and my other me.
Both the Geminis.
Yes.
Is the other you sitting at home watching us?
I hope so.
Okay.
I hope so. This is the Great American Weekend on Radio Van. It's always fun, interesting, unusual, and a lot of things to learn. Thanks for listening, and we'll be back with our calendar of events
after this commercial break.
Don't go far.
Oh, say, can you see?
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed?
Adamast, what are you doing?
He's trying not to forget where he came from.
I think we're really enjoying this episode tonight. It's really fun,
And
really
we hope
light.
you are too. But if you aren't, well, that's your fault.
Oh, well. If you aren't, that means you haven't been listening. And so we are about to start our calendar of events. And would you like to do it?
Yeah, well, first off, I just want to remind people, Mahog is playing at 26, Irish Pub 26 tonight. We've got Lost Village at Barcode tonight. We've got Samba Bayan at the venue tonight. And Hugh Snoots is playing at Ulihanyan. So pack up your things. If you want to see some live music tonight, head out to those. We'll let you go in about
Saturday
5
night
minutes. Saturday night
is created for fun.
Yeah. Now, Yerevan American Corner, the debate club, again, as always, on Thursday at 1 p.m. If you want to improve your English language skills and learn how to debate, stop by the Yerevan American Corner this Thursday at 1 p.m. We will share the topic with you on Facebook as soon as we find out what it is. The Reading Club. If you enjoy a good story and want to expand your vocabulary as well as practice your listening and speaking skills, join the Yerevan American Corner Reading Club every Tuesday at 1 p.m. An intermediate level of English is required for participation.
Learn English.
The Teenage Club at Yerevan American Corner invites all teenagers to their club where you can improve your English and learn more about American culture and lifestyle. No homework, no assignments, only games, discussions, group activities, and tons of fun. This takes place every Friday at 2 p.m.
When Sasha grows up, I'll take him here. When he becomes a teenager. Movies in English at Kino Park, Yerevan Mall, 13th through 17th July. This time I'm not gonna do it with a Russian accent because Hazva is the best for doing it. So we'll just wait until he comes back. Spider-Man Far From Home at 3:50 p.m. 13th through 17th July. 2019 American superhero movie based on the Marvel Comics character Spider-Man.
And every day, I believe, at 5:30 p.m., we've got The Dead Don't Die. This is an American zombie comedy written and directed by Jim Jarmusch. And
Master
I just
has
saw
watched
that.
it.
I saw it at Kino Moskva as part of the Golden Apricot Film Festival on Thursday. It is hilarious. The cast is great. It's I highly recommend it.
I can't wait to see it. The way you recommend it should go. 3 p.m. English language French action thriller. I think this is shoot, I forgot. The director, one of the famous directors, Luc Besson. Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
There you go. Okay, so have shared with you about music and
we've got some more music
tonight.
that's coming. Yeah, tonight, but we've got some more stuff coming up this week. Of course, Yerevan always has some good live music going on. Vahagen Hydropetian Sextet will be playing at Ulihanyan on the 15th. Nemra, their album is being presented July 16th at 7 p.m. at the Puppet Theater, the H. Tumanyan Puppet Theater. Dev Gildakian is playing at Ulihanyan with his group, one of his groups, on July 17th. Arman Asatarian, his quintet, is at Ulihanyan on the 18th. The Nagash Ensemble, John Houdian, who was our guest last week, they are in France this weekend, but they'll be back in Yerevan next week, and they have a show on the 18th at the Aram Hachatorian Museum. Don't miss that. Even if you've seen them before, or if you're a fan of their music, this is something a little different with some strings and whatever.
And
New
special
Gray,
acoustics.
New Gray is playing at Kalume on the 18th. That's Armin Shavardian's new band. It's down to a really tight, punchy hard rock trio. Check that out. I haven't
Just
figured out which one of
be
those
there.
two. They're both on the 18th, and I haven't figured out which one I'm going to. But they're both going to be great. The new quintet,
pick one.
the new quintet is playing at Ulihanyan on July 19th, and there's Techno Mood with the Bagrinyats at Stop Club tomorrow at 9 p.m.
Thank you. Now let's move to festivals. Today was and tomorrow will be Ecotourism Festival at our Artavan village in Vayotsto region. So if you want to join this celebration, go ahead and see what it is. Event for kids and parents. This is quite funny. For the first time, crawling contest at Yeras Park, July 19th at 7 p.m. Grab your kids who are still crawling and they cannot walk. I just lost Master Steve here in the studio. Participants should be
Age discrimination. I want to participate in this crawling contest.
You want to crawl. Should be 6 months to 1 year old crawlers, crawling kids with their parents. This is going to be fun. Opera and ballet. Open-air opera concert at the theater's grand balcony tomorrow at 7 p.m. Il Trovatore. Verdi's opera in 4 acts, July 17th at 7 p.m. Cipollino Ballet in 2 acts, 20th of July at 7 p.m. There are plenty of DJs at Hugo Bar and Restaurant from July 14th to 21st, starting from 8:30 p.m. every evening. So if you want to dance, enjoy music, chill, just go there and enjoy both food, cocktails, and the show. And we're done.
Thank you again to Baron Scancelli for joining us this evening.
And thanks to Master C for inviting Baron Scancelli. Now you guys know that he's got the contacts. He's the contact person. This was the Great American Weekend. Have a great...
Thanks for listening. Have a great rest of the weekend.
Rest of the week. And Master, say hello to your alter ego.
I'm going to run from that guy. If I ran into him in a dark alley, I'd head the other direction.
You better make friends with him. It's not a good to have bad relationship with alter egos.
And that's all for the Great American Weekend this weekend. We'll see you next Saturday at 7 o'clock.
With Sam Babayan as our guest. Do not miss it.